There are rules in this world that no one writes down. Not because they're secret, but because the people who learned them didn't come back to write them. A woman on the internet posted a job listing. Sitter wanted. No children involved. Just a wooden chest. Midnight to 4 in the morning. The job was simple.
Sit on it. Don't get up. Don't ask why.
She took the job. And for 5 months, she thought she understood the rules. She thought she knew what she was sitting on. Here is what I want you to consider. What if the rule wasn't there to protect her? What if whatever was inside those boxes needed her to believe she was in control? This is the story of the night she found out. Let's talk about how desperation has a way of making the strange seem reasonable. She was a babysitter, had been for years, not out of passion, out of pragmatism. Cash in hand, fixed hours, no office politics. You show up, you keep the kids alive, you go home. Clean transaction. But babysitting has its own particular cruelty parents who treat your time like it belongs to them, who debate your rate after the fact, who never quite come home when they said they would. She'd had enough of that. So when she saw the listing on a forum she frequented, not Reddit, not Craigslist, something smaller, more obscure, she read it twice. Sitter wanted. Friday night, midnight to 4 a.m. Fixed hours. That was the first thing she noticed. Not until we get home. Not shouldn't be too late. 4 a.m. A hard stop. She liked that. The pay was listed too. $200 for 4 hours. More than she'd ever made watching someone's children. The ad said nothing about the kids. She called the number. A woman answered. Soft voice. Slightly tired, the way people sound when they've been explaining something impossible for too long. She asked about the children. There was a pause on the other end of the line. There's no child, ma'am. I just want you to sit on a chest for a while. Now, most people hang up here. She did not hang up. And the woman on the other end, let's call her Claire, because she never gave a name and every story needs something to call its catalyst, Claire explained. Slowly, carefully. And the way you explain something when you know how it sounds, and you've accepted that it sounds that way. I was cursed a while ago. I keep getting boxes in the mail. Chests, packages. If I open them, there's nothing inside. But if they're left unattended, at night, something comes out. She asked Claire what kind of something. That's how my last boyfriend went missing, Claire said. I woke up one morning and the chest was open and he was gone. I don't know what else to tell you. That's all I know. Here is the thing about that answer. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a performance. It was the flat, exhausted delivery of someone describing a chronic condition. Like telling a doctor your knee has hurt for 3 years. You stop crying about it. You just say the words. She found that more convincing than any amount of urgency would have been. Still, she didn't believe in demons. Even better, Claire said, when she told her that. Skeptics are easier. You won't spook yourself into getting up. They agreed to meet in a park. Claire brought the chest. It was wooden, unvarnished. The kind of thing you'd find at a garage sale and use to store winter blankets. She turned it over in her hands. Knocked on the sides, opened the lid, and looked inside. Nothing. Checked for hidden cameras, microphones, false bottoms. Thorough, practical. She found nothing. So she took it home. $200. Midnight to 4. Sit on a box. Easiest money she'd ever make. The first night was almost boring. She sat on the chest just before midnight, phone in hand, scrolling through whatever the algorithm decided she needed to see at that hour. The wood was smooth under her, solid, normal. Except for one thing, the chest was warm. Not warm the way wood gets in a heated room. Warm the way something is warm when something inside it is generating heat. She noticed it around 12:30 and told herself it was her own body heat. She'd been sitting on it for half an hour. Of course it was warm. At 1 a.m., it began to vibrate. Not violently, not dramatically, just a low, steady hum, like a washing machine one room over, or a refrigerator you only notice when it stops. She felt it through her legs, her lower back. She told herself it was traffic. She told herself the building was settling. At 2 a.m., she heard a knock from the inside. One knock, deliberate, patient, like something that had all the time in the world and simply wanted her to know it was there. She turned off her phone, sat in the dark, waited for it to come again. It didn't. At 3:44, her phone lit up. A text from Claire's number. Did anything strange happen? She typed back. No, it was fine. Claire replied, okay, you can get up now. She almost did. Almost. Something made her wait. No logic behind it, just instinct. She waited until 4 a.m. exactly, then stood up. The next morning, she called Claire to report in. Mention the text. Claire had not sent any text. She checked her phone. The message was gone. The entire thread had vanished, as if it had never existed. Think about what that means. It had her number. It could replicate Claire's contact information perfectly. It had the patience to wait until 16 minutes before the job ended when she was tired, when her guard was lowest before making its move. And when it failed, it cleaned up after itself. This was not a demon behaving like a monster. This was something behaving like a strategist. She took the job again, and again, and again. Over the next 5 months, she sat 15 times. Each gig brought a new container. The methodology never changed. Midnight to 4. Don't get up. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, don't get up. The containers changed constantly. A shoebox with packing tape, a wicker basket she felt something press upward against the lid around 1 a.m. Methodical, like a quality control check. And the suitcase hard shell, combination locked every time she shifted her weight. Something inside moved with her, a wet sound. Dense and slow, redistributing itself to stay directly beneath her, tracking her. By gig 7, she had developed what she called immunity. The tricks kept coming. Fake texts, phantom phone calls, the doorbell at 3 a.m. Once, she heard her cat meowing from inside the box. If you're really in there, she remembered thinking, you can wait another hour. You won't die. She opened the container at 4 a.m. Nothing inside. Her cat was asleep on the couch. Around gig 8, a loud thud from upstairs. 2 a.m. She lived alone. I want to stop here for a second, because I've read this part of her account many times, and every time I get to that thud, the one she doesn't investigate, the one she just sits through, something tightens in my chest. She doesn't say she was scared. She just says she waited for 4 a.m., and that practiced calm is somehow more unsettling than any amount of screaming would have been. Make it to 4 a.m., no matter what. That was her rule. What she hadn't considered, what none of us consider, when we believe we have mastered something, is that mastery can be manipulated. The thing inside the boxes had spent 5 months studying her. It knew she wouldn't respond to loud noises. It knew she wouldn't respond to fake messages. It knew exactly how she thought. It knew that when something felt like a trick, she'd dismiss it. It ran 15 experiments on her, and it had been waiting for a way to use that against her. The package arrived on a Tuesday. Claire redirected this one directly to her address. A small logistical adjustment, nothing unusual. Inside the cardboard box, she found a chess box, wooden, ornate, the kind that opens flat into a board, with a drawer for the pieces. The exterior was painted with figures she couldn't quite parse, too detailed for a casual look, too unsettling for a longer one. The kings and queens had faces. She looked at them for 2 seconds and shoved them back in the drawer. She assumed it was the new container. Claire was getting creative. The chess box was small enough to bring upstairs, small enough to place on her mattress. She could sit on it while lying down, practically horizontal, minimal effort. She almost laughed at how comfortable the gig had become. Midnight arrived. She settled in. The chess box was warm. Of course it was. Around 2 a.m., the doorbell rang. She ignored it. Then came the banging fists against her front door. Desperate, frantic. She recognized the pattern, ignored it. Then, silence. Then, footsteps downstairs. Slow, rhythmic. Not the random footsteps of an intruder, something far stranger. 1, 2 to 3. 1, 2 to 3. A waltz. Whatever was downstairs was waltzing. She called Claire, said this might be the last gig, that the hallucinations were getting too vivid, that she could hear breathing in the hallway outside her bedroom door. Claire told her she was sorry. Told her she had another hour. Told her not to get up no matter what. The doorknob turned. The door didn't open, she'd locked it. But the knob turned, slowly, deliberately. A trick, she told herself. All of this is a trick. She was still on the phone with Claire when she mentioned almost offhandedly that she was lying in bed. A pause. You're lying in bed? Yeah, the chess box fits perfectly on the mattress, so I... What chess box? The one inside the package you sent, she said. The cardboard box there was a chess box inside it. No, Claire said. I sent a cardboard box, empty. I have never, not once, sent you anything inside the packaging. The container is the package. Always. Nah. She sat up slightly. The chess box shifted beneath her. But you can't mail a chess box by itself. The post service. Maya, listen to me. When did I ever put the real thing inside a bigger box? When has that ever happened? The waltzing downstairs stopped. The cardboard package had arrived. She had opened it. She had found a chess box inside. She had assumed it was the container, the thing she was meant to sit on. But what if it wasn't? What if the cardboard package had been the container, small, unassuming, exactly like the first box from the park, and the chess box was something else entirely? What if, by removing the chess box and bringing it upstairs, she had left the real container unattended, downstairs, alone, for 3 hours? And if that was true, what had she been sitting on? Please tell me you didn't fall for it, Claire whispered. She looked down at the chess box beneath her. The ornate faces of the kings and queens stared back up at her through the closed lid. She could feel the warmth of it through her clothes. She had hallucinated the chess box inside the package. Or she had been manipulated into believing the chess box was real. Or the chess box was real, and the real container was still downstairs, open and unattended. There was no way to know which, and that was the point. This is the part where I have to be honest with you. I've sat with this story for a long time, and right here, at this exact beat, I stopped being able to think about it analytically. That's not horror. That's something older. A long, slow whistle broke the silence. From downstairs, almost musical, almost amused, and then footsteps coming up the stairs. She had one option: stay on the chess box, pray she'd been sitting on the right thing all along, and wait for 4 a.m., or stand up, check the cardboard box downstairs, confirm the truth, and risk everything. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. The hallway went quiet. What do you do when the trap is knowing? The post ends there. 3,000 upvotes in 5 days. Hundreds of comments. Dozens of theories. Some people said she made it. That staying on the chess box was the right call. That the footsteps were one last hallucination. That she hit 4 a.m. and nothing came through the door. Others said the chess box was the trap. That whatever was in those containers had spent 5 months building her confidence, building her immunity for exactly this moment. That sitting on the chess box was precisely what it wanted. But there is one detail almost everyone missed. She describes the chess box as containing pieces with sinister faces, kings and queens. She shoves them back in the drawer and closes the lid. She never opens the drawer again. What if the drawer wasn't storage? What if the drawer was a door? Her account went dormant the same night as the post. No responses to comments, no follow-up, no explanation. And I keep thinking the most frightening part isn't the ending. It's the silence after. Claire's number, according to a commenter who tried it, is no longer in service. And somewhere, right now, a cardboard package is sitting in someone's mailbox. Small, unassuming, warm. Here is what this story is really about. Not demons, not cursed chests, not things that go bump in the night. It's about the particular danger of believing you understand something you don't. She didn't get overconfident because she was arrogant. She got overconfident because she was competent. She had done everything right 15 times in a row. She had developed real skills, real pattern recognition, a genuine methodology for surviving something that should have been unsurvivable. And it still wasn't enough. Because whatever was in those containers wasn't operating on instinct. It wasn't rattling its cage in frustration. It was learning, updating, adjusting its approach based on what worked and what didn't. It ran 15 experiments on her. She thought she was surviving. She thought her immunity was real. But immunity, in this context, was just data. Think about the things in your own life that you believe you have figured out, the relationships you're certain you understand, the patterns you've learned to predict, the rules you follow because they've always worked before. How many of those patterns were given to you? How many of those rules were written by something that needed you to follow them? We are, all of us, sitting on something. The only question is whether we chose the box or whether the box chose us. If you have a theory about what happened that night, whether she made it to 4 a.m., whether the chess box was the real one, whether the drawer was ever just a drawer, leave it below. I read every single one. And if you're the kind of person who finds themselves thinking about a story like this at 2 in the morning, wondering which boxes in your own life you didn't choose, subscribe. There are more stories where this one came from. Most of them don't end either.